Hi everyone, in this video what I'm going to show you is how to factorize trinomials of a particular form, and that form is being where you've got three terms, the first one being 1x squared plus some number of x plus a constant at the end that doesn't have an x. And the method that I'm doing today is called the deconstruction method, and you'll see why when I start doing some examples. The deconstruction method is a long way of doing these questions, but it does come in handy when you do some more complicated ones, which I'll make another video for. And I'll also show you the shortcut method as well. Now, if you use the shortcut method, just be careful and don't rush it. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So just double check your numbers before you try and come to a final answer. Now, do some examples. We'll start off with some easy ones first. Now, the problem is, why we need to do this deconstruction method is because if you have a look at our three terms that we have there, there's nothing that all three terms have in common. So all the factorizing that you've been doing, none of those rules work for this particular situation. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and deconstruct this number 7 here. And what we end up doing is we split it into two separate terms, so we have 4 terms all up, and then we can do some factorizing by grouping. Now, if you don't know how to do that, I suggest you watch my video on that. Now, you don't just pick up two random numbers, so I don't just split this up into 3x and 4x or 6 and 1 straight away. There's two particular numbers that you need to choose. Now, for it to work nicely, what you need to do is make sure that these numbers add together to get the number 7. So they have to add to get 7, and they have to multiply to get this last number. So they have to multiply to get 6. Now, if you're at home and thinking of these some numbers, you might go, oh, well, what about 3 and 4? No, that doesn't work. Let's try the numbers 6 and 1. So I'm going to try positive 6 and positive 1, because 6 times 1 is 6, so it equals that number. 6 plus 1 is 7, which is my number that's over here. So if I rewrite that and deconstruct the 7, it's going to be x squared plus my two numbers that I chose, so plus 6x plus 1x plus 6. And you can see that this number here, so 7, is equal to 6x plus 1x, so it's still exactly the same. So now what I need to do is just factorize by grouping. So I'm going to group these two guys and these two guys, and I'm just going to factorize them separately now. So x can be taken out of both of those. X squared divided by x is x. X divided by x is positive 1. That's my first pair done. For my second pair, I'm going to factorize out plus 6. 6x divided by 6 is just x. 6 divided by 6 is just positive 1. And then I factorize out the bracket from each because they're the same. So I'm going to take out my bracket, which is x plus 1, and I'm just going to rewrite everything that's left over, which is x plus 6. Now, you may have noticed that my two numbers here, so plus 1 and plus 6, are the two numbers that I actually chose up here. So if you want to take the shortcut method, once you actually pick out your two numbers, you can quite easily just go from this stage to this stage straight away. And you'll notice that for all the ones that we do. Let's do another example. Now this one's a little bit more difficult because we have got a negative number in there. So we have to find a number that adds to get this middle term. So it has to add to get 3. And it has to multiply to get negative 4. So you've got to make sure you take your negative or positive with you. So if you try and think of some numbers, they can be negative numbers as well. Have a think of some. It might be handy if you write some down. But I know that the numbers that we're going to use are positive 4 and negative 1. And just check that it works. So 4 plus negative 1 equals 3. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So it'll work. Again, I'll still deconstruct it, but we should know what the answer is at the end already. It's going to equal x squared plus 4x subtract 1x minus 4. Again, 4x take 1x is 3x, so that's all fine. I'm going to do my grouping, so I'm going to group my ones with the x's and my ones with the 4's. If I do that, I can take out an x out of the first one, so I'm going to be left with negative 1x divided by x is negative 1. Over here, I'll take the 4 out, so it's going to be plus 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. And then I'm going to factorize again, taking my brackets out. So I've got x minus 1, write everything that's left over, so I've got the x plus 4. And again, you can still see that my numbers, so negative 1 and plus 4, are my two numbers that I had over there. Now it doesn't matter which way you have it around, it could be x plus 4, x minus 1, and that's fine as well. Let's do a couple more examples. We have to do one more step. So in this one, you can see it's different from the other ones because I've got this 2 here out the front. So I can't use the process I did before while I have this 2 out the front. But you might realize that each of my terms here, they can all be factorized by the number 2. So I'm going to remove that 2. So I'm going to take the 2 out. 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. 14x divided by 2 is plus 7x. 20 divided by 2 is plus 10. So if I look at just inside the bracket, it's just like the questions that I was doing before. I'm just going to have this 2 and these brackets around whatever I do on the inside here. So same thing, what I need to do is I need to figure out a number that adds to get 7. So I'm going to write plus 7 up here and needs to multiply to get 10. Now this one's not too tricky. I know the numbers that I can use are going to be 5, positive 5 and positive 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 times 2 is 10. So that wasn't too tough. So I'm going to factorize it out. I'm still going to do the deconstruction method. If you already know the answer though, it could be easy to do the shortcut here. It's going to be x squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10. I'm going to factorize by grouping again. So I'll match these two up. It's going to become 2. I'm going to factorize out the x first. So x, I'll be left with x plus 2. I'm going to take a 5 out of these guys. So it's going to be 5 x plus 2 again. You can see you're on the right track because you've got this plus 2 like up there. Factorize out the brackets from both. It's going to be 2 x plus 2 I've taken out from these two guys, and I'm just going to be left with x plus 5. And then I don't actually need this second set of brackets, so I'm just going to remove them, and I get 2 x plus 2 x plus 5, and then you're done. One more example where we do the factorizing at the beginning. So for this one, we've got some big numbers. And again, we've got this number out the front that we need to get rid of, but all the 3 terms can be divided by 2. So if I do that, I'm going to take the 2 out first. 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. 44x divided by 2 is plus 22x. 242 divided by 2 is 121. So think about that guy. So what I need to do is try and find some numbers that add to get that middle number. So they have to add to get 22, and they have to multiply to get 11. Now this one's not too difficult. 11 times 11 is 121. 11 plus 11 is 22. So my number is going to be plus 11 and plus 11. So they're going to be the same. So now what I need to do is I'm going to deconstruct it again. It's going to be 2 x squared plus 11x plus 11x plus 121. And then I'm going to pair by grouping again. So I'm going to group these guys and these guys. When I do that, I'm going to factorize the x out of this first pair. So it's going to be x plus 11. And I'm going to take 11 out of these guys. So plus 11, x plus 11. Then I'll factorize the bracket out of both because they're the same. It's going to be 2 x plus 11, x plus 11. And because they're the same, I can rewrite this, because it's the same bracket twice, I can rewrite that as 2 x plus 11 squared, because x plus 11 squared is just x plus 11 in brackets multiplied by x plus 11 in brackets. And then that's done. Alright, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time.